Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Your Morning Drive. I am your host with the most, Logan Lewis, coming to you from the Red Door Food Pantry storage facility. More on that in a second. A couple things before we get going. First of all, thanks for being here. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you listening and supporting the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, whether it's Apple or Spotify, watching on YouTube. Wherever you're at right now, just make sure you're followed. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you have episodes coming to your phone every Wednesday so that you don't miss a beat, because we're talking to really cool people about really cool things. And I don't want you to miss any, because we've got, if I do say so myself, a pretty stacked lineup for the fall. And I'm super, super excited about a lot of the faces that'll be on here. So please make sure you're following along. You can follow on social as well, all the platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you know the drill, LinkedIn. And on those platforms, you can get clips, behind the scenes, sponsor information, everything else about me, the guests, and everything in between. So make sure you follow along on those platforms to make sure you're in the loop on everything Your Morning Drive. I told you here a second ago that we are at the Red Door Food Pantry storage facility. The Red Door Food Pantry exists for the sole purpose of ending food insecurity in Bartow County. They are a non-religious service organization with a 501c3 nonprofit status. For more information about them and to support them, go to www.reddoorfood.com. Thank you to them for letting us utilize their space today. This podcast is also proudly sponsored by our friends over at Cartersville Living, powered by Best Version Media. Their magazine is your go-to source for uplifting local content, expert insights, community events, and more. They're bringing people together every month with compelling stories and informative articles from around our nice town. Each new edition of Cartersville Living brings us closer to our vision of uniting the community, one person, one home, one business at a time. Let's get into it, shall we? My guests today are a couple who traded the fast pace of Southern California for a new life in Cartersville, Georgia. They sold their home, packed up their 3 dogs, and even a rescue snake, which I'll ping you about here in a second, and set out with no jobs or plan, just a desire for peace, purpose, and community. I love that. Since then, she has led expansion efforts at Red Door Food Pantry while he earned his doctorate, congratulations, in organizational leadership and helps companies strengthen culture and engagement. Together, they've built a life rooted in values, connection, and giving back, proving that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the richest rewards. Please welcome my new friends, Sean and Ashley Davis. Woohoo! Here we are.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yay.
having us.
You're so
thanks for having
welcome.
us.
Absolutely. Right off the rip, you adopted a snake.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. How? Why?
It was a forced adoption.
Who was the one that wanted the snake?
My brother ended up the same year that we moved to Cartersville in January, moved to Copenhagen. He got his dream job at McKellar Brewery as a director of operations and expansion in Denmark. And they can't have snakes.
In Denmark?
In Denmark, they will not let him have it.
Really?
They do not have
Like,
snakes there at all.
This is going to sound dumb, but it's late on a Monday. Denmark, the country, right?
Yeah, Copenhagen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they just don't allow snakes in their
They
country?
do not have.
Wow, we don't allow people. They don't allow they don't allow snakes, y'all. Wow. Not too big of a wall to keep the snakes out. You know what I mean? Wow. That's interesting. Okay. So you have this snake. What's his or her name?
Aragon.
Aragon.
Yeah,
Lovely name.
He's about 3.5 feet long now. And we brought him here in a double pillowcase. In fact, he hung from the hanger portion of the car. We dangled him and took him out every night and gave him water and held Nami. I will tolerate a snake. I held him one time and that's about it. Sean does most of the work. He did get out a month ago or 2 months ago. And that was a very scary moment for me.
Scary because you were like, oh my God, this is now a horror movie, or
Yeah.
oh my God, there's a snake and we just can't find it?
No. We did not even know he was out until we found him by the front door, nested next to the dog food and water bowl. And I was making coffee. We were getting ready for the pantry. It was early. The lights weren't even on. And I'm talking to Sean, and I go to turn on the kitchen light, and there is a 3.5-foot snake just stretched out on the floor. I look, and it's literally within distance of you and I, because it's right where I'm turning on the light. And all of a sudden, I just look at my 3 dogs and go, "Thanks for the warning, guys," because they're just looking at me and watching me. And I just hurtle. I ran and hurtled across our sectional. Sean heard, and he walked in. He's like, "Is it a snake or a rat? Which one is it?" And I said, "It's a snake." And he's like, "That's our snake." And I said, "Well, thank goodness." But that snake was in our bedroom. So that snake went from our bedroom underneath the door into the front room. He had a blast. He was under the refrigerator, the laundry room, bathrooms. Until he found his spot next to the dog kennels where his homies are. And they didn't alert us because they're all friends.
Wow. The dogs are aiding and abetting the snake.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That's really wild. So what do you just like feed this guy like crickets and small rats and stuff? Like, what do you feed it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Sean's
I
job.
mean, look, it's not the most fun thing. Again, adopted the snake and we're kind of yeah, maybe coerced into it. I don't know how the right way to say it, forced, I guess.
You didn't go out of your way and say, "Give me that snake."
It wasn't our intention to
Definitely
get a snake.
not.
Absolutely
Definitely
not.
not.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not, there are some parts about snake ownership, which like anyone who owns a snake knows, like snake poop is very stinky and it's no fun to feed, or to thaw out little frozen,
Sure. What do you throw? Do you throw them in the microwave? Like, what do you do?
like a warm cup of water until they kind of get at least to room temperature,
And then
because
they're
they won't eat it if it's not room.
and they're dead, right?
Yeah, they're already
Okay.
dead.
Yeah.
They're
Dumb.
just frozen,
Dumb question.
straight from
Frozen solid.
PetSmart, and yeah, thaw them out, toss them in there,
God.
and good to go.
Has a good old time with it.
I
Yeah.
promise I'm not on drugs or anything, but I'm just like thinking about the entire circle of life at this point. Like,
Completely.
how many mice exist in this world only for their sole purpose? I guess you could say the same about chickens. Like, their sole purpose is to produce food for something else.
Well,
100%.
you know that there's purpose-bred animals.
Yeah,
That's what
true.
they're called. So purpose-bred animals could be for snakes or for feeding animals, but they could also be for things like research. Research laboratories have purpose-bred animals, which they just go and do that. And it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about, because a lot of people say, well, oh, poor mouse. But here's the thing: if you had a mouse in your house, what would you try to do with it?
Sure.
And so this is sort of a natural thing. It's not always that fun, but you get the job done, and
Sure.
the snake is happy and healthy.
It is a cute snake. He is in our room now or in my office, because he has a bigger terrarium. I did ask my brother, called him and said, "Your snake got out of his terrarium." Like, he's smart. He pushed it every night until he was able to get out of it.
He tested
He
it.
was testing it
Tested
every
the
day.
terrarium
It was
out.
weird because I would hear scratching. I'm like, one of these days this thing's going to come out. And that's exactly what I put in the air, because that's what happened. So I texted my brother and I said, "Your snake got out of its terrarium. It needs a bigger one." And he went, "Ha ha, you still have it?" I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to not have it.
I didn't know I had an option to get rid of the dang
Where
thing.
was it
I
gonna
was
go?
like, you gave me a task. I took it very serious. And he's like, "I just didn't know if you gave it away, or if maybe you thought like, this is your snake now." I'm like, "Oh no, he is definitely my friend." And all these he starts explaining behaviors. Like, he'll come up, and I thought he was just trying to escape and get out, but he was actually saying hello, because my brother petted him and trained him. So we have a trained snake and had really no clue.
That's really cool. Yes. Very cool. This is what people came for today. Is
100%.
is you thought you were getting Red Door Food Pantry, instead you got Snake Escape. Super cool. Okay, well, I guess now, before we kind of get into like what you guys are doing now and here, kind of give me a little bit origin. I mean, so you were in Southern California. How'd you guys meet? Why did you decide to jump to the opposite side of the country with no plan? Kind of give me that little tidbit there.
Well,
We
I'll
met
let
on
you take it.
Match.com.
Yeah, Match.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both had previous marriages, and I think that when we really got serious about dating and finding a significant other, then we knew the qualities that we were looking for. And ultimately, since we knew the qualities that we were looking for already, we were able to really hone it in on a match. And we met each other. It was kind of a fluke thing. Actually, kind of tells the story maybe a little bit better. But ultimately, the rest is history almost to me.
You fell in love.
We fell in love. Yeah, we did. We did. For me, the first date.
No shame, no judgment, no nothing. Me and my wife also met on not Match.com, but we met online on a dating app on Hinge.
Okay. Oh, really?
So we can attest that dating apps do work.
Yeah,
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
If you find the right person, you're there for the right reasons.
Yep. As long as that's it right there, is a lot of people are looking for the right person, but are they looking for the right reasons? And once you grow up, I guess is the way to put it, and realize you're like, I kind of don't want to die alone. I would love to do life with somebody.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
Yeah.
Which is just really fun. So what part of the story do you tell better?
How we actually came across each other.
Right.
It was like this sort of interesting story.
I didn't tell him until after we almost got married, actually, how we actually came across, like how his profile found mine.
Okay.
Because this was the first time I ever did Match.com or anything for that matter. So when you sign up, they ask you what your preferences are.
Sure.
And so for me, I just went off of what didn't work apparently, because I'm single and I was on Match.com, so it wasn't my taste wasn't working.
Sure.
But I put it in. And then all of a sudden, I'm going on a couple dates. I was like, I'm actually not made out to date anybody anymore. So then it became one of those things where I was going to let my 3-month trial run its course. But then I get a random message from this guy. And the first thing, and I'll tell you why, because I made a very detailed profile, because with little spots that if you read it, you were going to ask a question.
Goose it.
Sure.
Like little.
Sure.
Goose it.
And that was the first thing, because at the time I had a daughter who was 9, and my favorite thing is like, hey, I don't want kids. And I'm like, then why are you texting me? Like, I have a 9-year-old child. Like, you don't want a child, then you're not reading my profile. So his first thing is okay, let's just get down to it. Who is your favorite football team? I was like, oh, he read my profile. Sure did. Because that was like, I put in there, I am crazy sports fan. Like, I will get into arguments with people. Like, back in the day, I've kind of calmed down a little bit. But that was the whole thing. I did something intentional. And that was the first thing. So I knew he had gotten all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So then I get to work, and then I'm trying to tell my girlfriends about it. Like, I met this guy. He responded, he's cute, whatever. I'm telling him, but I can't find his profile. I was like, why can't I find his profile? It's not in my inbox. I was like, this is weird. So then I go and I'm finding it, and I find it in my spam box of my Match.com. And then I click in it, and there's his right there on top with hundreds of other emails of people that I didn't even get because they were outside of my preference sheet of what wasn't working, apparently.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my gosh, he was the one message out of hundreds that went right in, that got through that spam that was still there, but I saw the message notification for it. And we talked for a couple weeks. We went on our first date, took me on a great first date. We saw Les Miserables and at a small little theater.
Great first date
in our town, but it was just great. And that was June 1st of 2013. And then we got married, engaged 9 years later, and got married on our 10th anniversary in 2023, 2 months before we moved to Georgia.
So your anniversary is the first week of June?
Yeah, June 1st.
Wow. Love that. So is ours. Not June 1st, but June 3rd.
Oh, wow.
That's our wedding anniversary. Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that.
Good ride.
Yep. The smartest people in the world choose June.
They do.
Specifically the first week of June.
Agreed.
Love that. So what were you doing? Let's start there. What were you guys doing out there before you decided to come here?
Well, I worked as a senior partner for Wells Fargo. I did with wealth management, business administration. So I opened up business accounts and did all of that. So I helped make wealthy people
Wealthier.
wealthier, and that was starting not to sit right with me.
Sure.
So before we got married and did all of that, we took a turn, but we'll go over what Sean did prior to that.
Yeah, so in California, I was in the biotechnology industry for a long time, almost 20 years. And went from basically going as a scientist at a biotechnology company, and I was the lead surgeon for their veterinary program. And then I ended up going and being a chief of staff for the chief science officer of like a mid cap biotechnology company. Um, and that's kind of what we were doing, really focused on those types of industries, science, STEM type of industries. And yeah, that's kind of what we were doing.
That's interesting. First of all, you're throwing a few words out there that are pinging the ideas in my head. You say biotech and then you say California.
Mhm.
Do you know, I had a buddy in college that graduated from KSU and then he went and he moved to San Diego and worked for a company called Illumina, something
Okay.
like that. It's
That's
some kind of biotech
Yeah.
company.
So I'm not exactly familiar with that company.
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar, actually. The company I worked for it was in Southern California, but it was more in the Los Angeles area.
Okay. Interesting. And then another thing you said was you were in an industry for 20 years. How old are you?
I'm 41, and I started in the biotech industry when I was 20 years old.
You're 41.
I am, yeah.
I'm 21. I just want to.
Wow. Okay. You guys look great, man. Damn. I need to hit the gym. I did this morning, people. I did it. I did it. I'm working on it. I joined a gym where my wife has been at this gym for like 9 months and she's like, you got to do it. It's different, but you got to do it because it's going to get your ass in shape. And I was like, okay. And it's called Burn Boot Camp. New sponsor alert, everybody. Yeah, you heard me right. New sponsor alert. This episode is sponsored by Inkwell Publishers, a nonprofit publishing house that believes in the power of storytelling to shape lives, spark imagination, and leave a lasting impact. Inkwell exists to support meaningful stories and amplify voices that deserve to be heard. If you're ready to share your story with the world or volunteer your time and talents to use storytelling as a platform for good, email inkwell@inkwellpublishers.com or visit their website, inkwellpublishers.org. That's INKWELL Publishers. Email them at inkwell@inkwellpublishers.com or visit inkwellpublishers.com.
Oh,
I've heard of it.
And
Sure.
I did it last Monday and I couldn't walk the rest of the week because I joined on a day that was like full body everything. So from head to toe, I could not move.
Yeah.
So I took the week off. But then I went back this morning and we did arms and I feel fantastic. So let's go. 2 days in, 2 classes in. I'm proud of myself.
That's
I'm going to
great.
keep plugging that whenever I can to keep me accountable. But yeah, I'm a very lazy dude. So the gym is it's kind of bad going from not working out at all to high intensity training. It's not a good transition.
No, your muscles don't like that.
My muscles and body went into shock. My brain was just like, you've got asthma, you idiot. You're supposed to slowly warm up to this. And I was like, my wife told me to join, so I did it. So yeah, that's that. But okay, so you're doing the banking stuff, you're doing biotech stuff, for lack of a better term. Damn, the biotech, dude, you're a smart cookie. I don't even have to know anything else to just know that you ever talk to somebody and within a few minutes, you're like, oh, that dude's so much smarter than me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how I feel right now. But no, but so you guys are doing those things, and I also worked in the banking world, so I understand your pain.
Oh, really?
I mean, I think
It's
everybody should work in the banking industry and a restaurant
I
in their life
I
because I
like it.
think that they'll get the well-balanced understanding of what customer service really is about and what it means to really help somebody.
Sure. And you see all these companies list in their like job requirements, like must be able to work in a fast paced environment. A restaurant's a perfect example of that. I mean, a
Mhm.
restaurant really teaches you how to work with a team,
Right.
how to help each other
Deal
out.
with adversity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I agree with that. But yeah, the banking world, that was a lot of fun. I worked for a local institution for a couple of years. I won't name them, but I'm glad I got out because it does get exhausting
It does.
because you can treat customers or members as we called them, and you can treat them with so much kindness, but then they are sometimes and most of the time very, very rude. And it really weighs on you. And I know that you know how that feels, especially you were working for a large nationwide institution where, and especially, in those institutions, you find a lot of people that feel like they're really entitled and stuff and maybe that's every institution. I'm not just Wells Fargo, but
It's
it
all
gets
of them.
exhausting.
It does. And I think once you get to the clients that are more elitist and you have that higher threshold, it does become that where they expect certain services and that's where I came in and I enjoyed it. I truly did. Then when you start to think about what it is when you grow up, what you want to do when you grow up, it's like they'd always ask me like, "Did you?" I'm like, "I did not." Not at Wells Fargo, but other banks. Like I
Sure.
worked in another bank prior to that was big, and I was there for 12 years before I went to Wells Fargo, and it was great, and we had a lot of fun. But it
Sure.
does become like I want to help everybody, and they're like, how much?" I'm like, I don't know. They're like, "You're gonna," I'm like, "Am I? Am I gonna be a problem?" But it's not because I helped everybody and I saw something you didn't need I didn't ask because sometimes the dollar amount isn't important because if somebody is coming in your door and I think that that's whether it's the pantry or my bank door at that point, they needed help. So I'm not gonna just ask them that, like, how much do you make? How much is in your bank account? Before I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And most of the time they knew that because I had the pretty glass office, I know I'm not supposed to be in here. I'm like, it's okay, come on in. Come have a seat. It's pretty in here. I'm nice. I won't bite.
Yeah.
But it's that.
Yeah. I get that. That makes sense. And yeah, I agree. I always felt like I wanted to help everybody. And I felt like I would take it somehow so personally on me. Like if I was doing a loan application for someone and it gets declined, like they leave so disappointed or upset. And I take that with me. I'm the
100%.
kind of person that just like soaks up the energy of somebody that I'm with. And if you're sad, I'm sad.
Yeah.
So like, I always tried to like make sure they knew like, hey, I'm not the one that declined it. I'm on your side. Like I heard your story. I understand, but
Yeah.
unfortunately with loans and banking and credit and all that crap, there are rules
It
and
happens.
it happens. Exactly. That's literally all you can say about it. But okay, so you guys are banking and you're bioteching.
Yep.
Why all of a sudden were you like, let's get the heck out of here?
Well, that's my fault. Well, I shouldn't say. I guess we've talked about it. We had older children, and we were waiting for them to get done with school before we made the leap out of California, and we had some time, and we told our friends and we told our family, like, we're talking about this, we're putting it in the universe and sparking, thought maybe. But I had some issues with my health and in 2023, in fact, in April, I had a major surgery. But prior to that, why they were figuring out what was going on with me, I was home for the first time since maternity leave. And when you take somebody like me and you sit them down and tell them to sit still, I did a lot of thinking because I was like, what am I doing? Do I really want to go back to work? I do. But is this what I want to do? And I didn't say anything to him. I went against my doctor's wishes. I got married 6 weeks after I had my surgery. And then my doctor, a week later, I went back to my doctor and she said, you have about a month left until you can go back to work. And I was like, no, I don't. I've got about 2 weeks before I go back to work. So against her wishes, I went back. So it was the best mistake that I've made. not for California because they put me in my office and then they said, well, congratulations, you're back. We want to do all these things. Like, we need you to get ready for your next step. And for you to do that, you need to do this, this, and this. And then the walls just went deeper, deeper on me. And I sent him a text and I said, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I went home. He followed me and he said, are you serious? And I said, yeah, actually, I think I am. I don't know if this is what I want to do. And it was everything I thought I wanted to do. And in my mind, I was excited, but in my heart, it just didn't make sense. And so we talked about it and we said, well, for this to work, we can't live in California. And so then maybe this is the time that we take the Band-Aid off and just go. But we have a house and we have responsibilities. So how does this work? So we put our house up on the market and that was the first thing was let's see if our house bites. And within the first hour of it being put on the market, we had 9 showings and within 2 days we sold our house.
The market is really good out there, but also we had a good realtor. We had a guy who he
The
knew the
best.
neighborhood, and he was just the type of guy who he could just sell your house. He had those contacts already, so it worked really well for us.
Yep.
We were able to sell our house quickly. We were able to do these things, and I think when you think of life, like I always think like life is a type of journey where you could be a passenger or you can be a driver, right? You can be along for the ride and you can just say, I'm comfortable here. Or you can be the driver and say, you know what, I'm gonna take a risk, I'm gonna take this turn, and I'm gonna travel the road less traveled. And that's kind of what we really decided to do is to say, we don't want to be passengers anymore. We don't want to sit around and help, as Ashley terms it, rich people getting rich, right? The things I was dealing with in as a chief of staff, I love that job. There were some really kind of weird things in that particular organization that were happening, and as a result, it just worked out really well for us that we were able to say, you know, we were already planning to leave. When the kids graduated, we were going to leave. Well, then, we were able to just kind of at that point say, this is the time. It works. It's not the ideal time. And, maybe there's never an ideal time for something as drastic as leaving the things you're comfortable with, going to some place that you are not familiar with, different cultures, different climate, and really saying, let's take a risk so that we can achieve the types of things that we want to achieve as individuals, in this lifetime.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I really like that. I really admire that go-getter mentality of like, you know what? Let's get the heck out of here. Why not? What do we have to lose? Like you said, you let the kids graduate, you tied up loose ends. It was simple. So how long did you last after that day that you texted him and said, I'm out, I'm done here? When did you quit? How soon after?
Well, as soon as we sold our house, about 2 weeks later, I gave my notice. And then 2 weeks after that, we're out of our house in an Airbnb for 2 weeks until we left Georgia. With literally from the moment we sold our house, we had a month and a half until we got to Georgia. And we didn't even tell our parents, like we didn't tell our family, and we did. And they were like, what?
Well,
And
we told them as soon as we could, but when you're talking about something like that, you want some things to be somewhat
A little close to the
concrete.
chest.
You want things to be concrete before you go out because basically we were going to tell people we're going to move without a plan, and we're planners.
or a place
So,
to live
so
or a state.
for our family, for our friends, this was something that was very unusual because they were saying like, what are these guys doing? Now, the thing is, it sounds like a knee-jerk reaction almost, or that it wasn't planned, but at the end of the day, we had been thinking about this for years. We were just trying to wait for that right time. The right time just sometimes it doesn't come, and sometimes it looks different than you
Right.
intended it to look.
Sure. Yeah. They always say with anything in life, really, like if you're always waiting for the right time, it'll never happen
You'll
because
just
It
keep waiting.
passes.
yeah, you'll just keep
Right.
on
Yeah.
We
waiting.
would
Yeah.
still be in California.
Right.
Absolutely.
Literally thinking maybe we will when the kids graduate college. It would be like the next.
So why Georgia? Was Georgia always the plan? Was there other options? What were the other options?
Well, it was kind of cool because we were like, wow, this is actually really neat. And this is in the very beginning. We sat in our dining or living room on our couch and we're like, well, where what sounds kind of cool. So we did know there were certain things that were super important for us. So it was like, okay, the pros and the cons of what we were looking for. So we needed these things we can go without. So then it was okay, what are we going to do? So then we started looking at places, literally Googling places. And then we're thinking, okay, we're going to start stretching out and start talking to friends. And like my best friends in North Carolina, we have Sean's sisters in Smyrna. I know I said it wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I'm learning. And we have family in South Georgia, his aunt. And then we had an acquaintance here in White. And they were all like, you should come to North Carolina. You should come to Georgia. You should come here. And then we're like, well, and then someone's like, what about Cartersville? I was like, well, let's look at Cartersville. And I was like, well, it does have just about everything we were looking for. Although I've never been in Georgia, like never been to Georgia, and Sean has. So then I'm like, well, let's go. So we did. We got our pod. Everything that we couldn't get rid of, we put in our pod. I mean, down to the last blue chair that it was my favorite blue chair. And my son looked at me and said, "What about this chair?" I'm like, "Fuck room for that chair," because we just that was it. It was
Yeah.
an exhausting trip,
Sure.
unloading all of our house, and our daughter was moving to college at that time, so we were putting her in her car, getting her where she needed to
Man.
be while we were doing all of that and getting into the Airbnb. So it was really just trying to like saying a lot of prayers and taking really chances of just saying, okay, we're going to do this. It was our parents. And he said that like our parents, we are the people that are the most structured. They were like, where are you going to move? I'm like, I don't know. What about your job? I don't know
Figure it
either.
out. Yeah.
I don't know either. And they were like, Ashley Shireen, what is wrong with you? I was like, I know, but hear me out. It will probably be worth it. And if not, we'll just be sleeping in your house when we come back to California.
I was gonna say, hey, if all else fails, I'll just live with you again.
Like-
They're just like, hold. That's where my dad comes in. Is like, hold up, nope, not happening.
California is so expensive. I don't know if we could even afford to live with our parents.
It's that Golden State tax of that 80-degree weather, the sunshine
tax.
It's
So,
great.
yeah.
I love it, but there was more for us. And we both knew like we were needy. It was just like that. What are we going to do when we grow up kind of deal? And that's what we did. So we literally got our pod. It's still packed away in Pod USA somewhere. We haven't unpacked it yet. And then our son came and our 3 dogs and then the cat. And then literally we left on August 13th because it was the day after our daughter turned 21. And we came here 3.5 days later. And that was August 16th of 2023. And then literally for like the first 4 or 5 months, he was gone, still transitioning back from California here. So then that was me moving and building things. I built if you ever come in my house, the TV stand, I built it like 3 times because it was just one of those things that it was just I couldn't read it for whatever reason, and I barely read instructions to build things anyway. So I built it a few times, but it's sturdy, it's great. All the screws are there, but we did it. And it was very difficult because you think you're the strongest person in the world, and then you come to a place that you don't have anybody. And then you feel super alone. And so, I do remember going to downtown for the first time and meeting Miss Janet at It's About Time at the Christmas store and visiting her. And then I'm like, okay, I got one new friend. Like I got a new friend. And then went to Southern Cove and then found little spots. And I'm telling him all about it. And then when he comes home to visit,
You take him to all those places.
We take him to all the places. And then, it took about 9 months, 10 months until we really felt like it wasn't the end of the world. Like it literally felt that way because it was just us.
Wow.
And but then we found our niche. Like we found friends. I go to bingo, and that's how I found out about Red Door Food Pantry. We found our church, and then we started finding our community. And then that 9 months, that was such a horrible time in our life, or not really horrible, but it was just, it was it
was
was hard.
tumultuous.
It was very hard. It was emotional. You felt alone. Like you literally, there was not a lot of answers. Oh, am I thinking, did we make the right choice? And then it just started like literally now things are like normal. It's like we've been here longer than 2 years, really, really longer than a year integrated in the community, if you really want to be honest. But it just seems like it's just we jump in the car, we have our routines, like we have our people, we have our community, and it makes it so much easier because we're not alone, even if we feel like we are, because our kids are family, like everybody's there, but we have that. And like my dad saw me, like we talk to our family all the time, and he's like, "You are happy in California, but you are a different happy here. Like it's different." And I'm mad that you're here because you're not there in California with me, but it's just a difference. And it's a piece in that. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really well said. You aren't alone because similarly, I also well, more than once because of my father's job, we moved around the country a lot growing up, so I had to constantly restart. And of course, I was a kid, so I was living under my parents' roof, so they were the ones probably stressing about things. But it sucks having to, especially as a kid in the middle of high school or in the middle of middle school. I mean,
Yep.
it's hard. Kids are mean. It's hard to make friends. If you don't know, I talk to people all the time and they're just like, man, my best friend, I've known him since third grade. I'm like, damn, dude, I wish I've had the same friend for the last 7 years and I'll probably have to make new ones again soon. But it takes a lot out of you to, like you said, that first 9-10 months to just, you almost feel like you've got to walk into every room waiting to talk to somebody or learn about something. And it's exhausting. You go home every night and your head hits the pillow and you're out because you're always on in those first few months of moving to a new place. You're meeting new people, going to new places. You're always on. You can't just exist. Now you're probably just existing. I'm existing.
Yeah.
But those first 10 months, it's hell having to try to reacclimate yourself. Okay, well, now we got to find a doctor, a dermatologist, dentist, a barber, whatever
Everything.
it is. You got to find all new everythings,
everything.
new favorite date night spots. You got to do
You
everything.
have to find new friends
Yeah.
because your friends are now 3 hours behind you.
And it's hard to make friends as an adult.
100%.
Let's put that out there. People don't talk about that enough. It is hard to make friends as an adult, especially if you're an introvert. Then it doesn't work out.
He's an introvert.
Really?
I'm introverted.
Yeah.
Really? You're the extroverted one?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So where he walks into a room and he's just like, oh God, you walk into a room and you're just like, let me spread my wings. He's like, all right, if you need me, I'll be at the punch.
He's
And
like, don't leave me.
grab me an extra plate of that food while you're over there. I'll sit and hold the spot down. Pray that nobody comes
In the car.
You run in real quick.
It's not quite that bad, but yeah, it's tough to make friends, like you said, as an adult. I think in our situations, if you think about where you make friends as an adult, it's at like work and at these social events. And when we moved here, we didn't have those things. So it was like we were kind of like, geez, like this is crazy here. It felt very isolating, and ultimately, I think it was a tough time. But as soon as we started venturing out, we started finding this community, which is that's one of the key tenets we were looking for to move to a place like Cartersville was the community, and we heard about the community. We were like, let's go find it. And as soon as we started doing those things, immediately we started making friends. We started finding people who were kind of like-minded or who were really accepting and who were just excited to get to know us. And that feels really good. It's a little endorphin kick because you say, wow, like I'm meeting new people here. They're really accepting me, and I'm excited to go hang out with it.
Right. And you think about like kids that do that and move, and you're like, man, if it's this hard as an adult, can't imagine what it's like moving in the middle of middle school. Middle school is a scary place. Middle schoolers are,
it's tough.
That's a weird time for everybody. Everyone's figuring out who they are. Everyone's hitting puberty. Everyone's going through, do I like girls? Do I like guys? Everyone's going through all of that at the same time. And you're all packed into a building and it's just like, go figure it out. And yeah, middle school is a tough place. So
But at
feel
least
bad for
in middle
them.
school, though, they're all kind of going through the experiences together
Mhm.
because they're all having somewhat of a similar going through puberty, going through schools, finding new friends. It's kind of like that given passage. And as an adult, you kind of don't think that. And you think, oh, it's easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there in your 40s, especially. It is not easy because you're like, wow, am I fun? Like, am I cool? Like, I think I am, but to other people, and then you start going back to those, like, going to high school and going to middle school, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna go to do this," and that means because I am the new person, and out here, when you walk into a room, like, they people know you are new here, like,
Yeah.
100%. And then they're like, "Oh, they wanna know who you are." And then it's like going through the same story over and over and over again about, like, how we've gotten here, and then it becomes like a long version with some are short, some get, like, the little snippets, and that's just it. It's truly that, but it is funny because when people ask you, I'm like, "Yeah, I did." They're like, "How long ago?" "Not very long ago." But it doesn't seem like that because literally we have done so much in such a small period of time, and it doesn't seem like that. So it does, though, bring back the full circle of where we every year in August, like, we've gone through
Mm.
this. Like,
Yeah.
I remember packing that pod and, I remember, like, friends being mad at us and not talking, still, like, not talking because 'cause they're mad that we've moved, or, family not
Wow.
understanding these choices, and I'm kinda like, "But this isn't your choice, it's our choice." And sometimes you've gotta do it, and they may not understand it, and they may not ever, but it's our understanding, and it's our peace, and it's changed, it's changed things, I think, for us.
A lot of the things like really worth doing, they're scary, right? Because unknown is scary, and I think that the more uncertainty, the more unknown that you put into a situation, the scarier it is, the harder it is to actually transition into normalcy.
Your morning drive is also present to us by Good Days Canned Cocktails. Good Days are a classic cocktail brand created in a convenient, ready to drink canned format for any occasion, whether it's a pool day, a boat day, a beach day, a graduation, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, anything in between. Good Days are there for you. Good Days are ahead when they are in your cooler, your fridge, your anything in between. Good Days has your back. If you want to be one of the first to try their drink, you can do so by visiting drinkgooddays.com/pages/find-us to find a store near you selling their drink. Of course, you must be 21 years of age to consume and purchase.
And we definitely felt it. We definitely felt it the whole way. It's been tough, but at the end of the day, we have to go back to this idea of like, you gotta live the life that you want to live as an individual while you're here living this life. And if you don't take those risks, are you really living to your full potential?
Yeah,
You got to do the scary stuff.
it's a fair question. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I mentioned in my intro there that you just earned your doctorate. Congratulations. That's really impressive. What are you doing with that? I mentioned that you're helping companies strengthen some leadership things. What exactly does that mean? What are you doing?
So, right now, I'm building a consulting company. And the idea of the consulting company is to assist businesses with two streams of needs. And one is business services. So, just these really simple cut and paste type of things. Hey, you need a project point or a PowerPoint that you want to present to executive leaderships. Well, come to me and we'll build that PowerPoint together. I'm going to teach you the different ins and outs. We're also going to talk about the ways you're going to present it, right? Looking at how long each slide, 2 minutes per slide, right? Looking at short bullet point. So different things like that. Business plans, business assessments, different things like that. Competitive risk assessments. And then it's also the business services, and then the less tangible portions of businesses is another stream. And that's really providing businesses with this idea of building leadership capacity in their organization, understanding different things like building interpersonal communication, building emotional intelligence in individuals. Those are the things that I really focused on a lot as I went through. I have an MBA, and then as I went through my doctorate, because I had experienced things in the workplace that had really made me think, just like you said, there's times when you walk into a room and you're like, I am not the smartest guy in here, right? And I've experienced that. And when I would walk into those rooms, sometimes those people, they would be the boss, right? And I'd be like, oh man, he's so smart. He knows look at all the research studies he's done. Look at everything. And then they'd open up their mouth and they'd say, man, this guy is terrible, terrible. What it made me realize is that you can be very, very intelligent and have different capacities in your intelligence, but you can have real areas of development. And frequently, those people who are really smart and they get promoted to be the boss, they're also not always the individuals with the best people skills. The experience of individuals at work plays a lot into the development of these people skills, these interpersonal interactions. And so when I did my doctorate, we focused on the research study I did, we focused on what impacts people's retention as they go into the work, what really holds a person in their workplace and what makes a person say, I don't like it here. I want to leave. What we found was that the big piece that holds people there is belonging and inclusion. This idea of, you walk in and, oh, hey, how's it going? You belong. This idea that you will get the professional development that you deserve, you feel you deserve. You will get the opportunities that you feel you deserve. And you'll do that in an equitable way, meaning that everyone in the organization, they're going to get those same opportunities if they're putting forward the same amount of work and effort. And so part of that is that interpersonal interactions, the ability to just talk to people and be respectful and say, hey, let's have a nice working environment versus those people who, they make your life like a living hell because they're the boss. And that's not
Because they
right to
can.
me. Because they can.
They get paid to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just not the right thing to me. So I really focused on that. And that's what I want to take back into organizations, is to actually be able to demonstratively provide evidence of why treating people right in the workplace is beneficial for the bottom line of the organization.
Absolutely, because the more people want to stay, the more people that will grow within your organization, the less money you have to money and time you have to spend finding new people, training new people. There's like an expression, I'm sure, or a statistic somewhere that says, isn't it like it takes 9 months for someone to become, a full forced employee? That first 9 months is just them learning. Maybe some companies longer than 9 months,
Oh, yeah.
maybe some companies shorter than 9 months, but on average, probably six to 9 months. It takes that person that long to really know the business and can actually start contributing to that company's success. And another thing that you hit on that I love, and I've kind of had this mantra because I had a really, really good boss a few years ago, and there was a day that I came to him and I was like, hey, you're the boss, and I'm sure you hear this from your boss, but you're doing a great job. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I just feel like you're a good manager. You're a good boss. I like working with you. I like working for you.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, that's because when I set out to be a boss, I wanted to be a leader, not a manager. And I'm sure you use this kind of lingo with the people you work with because anyone can be a manager. And that's how we have micromanagers. And we hate micromanagers. Especially if by we mean me.
There is a we here because none of us like it.
No, we're all
none of us like micromanagers. And and sometimes micromanagers don't know they're micromanaging. But like you said, some people lack those people skills, those social skills, and they have good intentions, but it just comes off like they're looking over your shoulder at all times when they might not mean to, but in that conversation, he was just like, I've worked for managers before, and I knew when I was that entry level employee that I did not want to be that guy.
Mhm.
I did not want to be like her or
Mhm.
him. I wanted to be someone that my employees would come up to me and say, "Hey, I love working with you. Do you want to grab a beer after work? Do you want to go golfing sometime?" Like, and I ended up going golfing with him and getting a beer with him after work one day. Being that kind of boss goes such a long way, and that's a great place to be in this consulting company. So why the switch from biotech to this? Did you leave that last job before moving to Georgia and staying here full time? Did you leave that with the intention of starting something for yourself?
So I was already in my doctoral program, and I knew that I was going to finish that doctorate, right? Um, it's not the easiest thing to do. It takes kind of a lot of concentration. So one of the things I wanted to do was to be able to actually have the time and the space to do it. We knew obviously without a job in California that wasn't going to happen, but we knew we could manage out here a little bit easier for at least a short duration of time. I switched from biotech to a more generalized consulting and things like that after I finished my doctorate, just because I think that you can make an impact in any industry. And so just because I know biotech, I worked in biotech, it doesn't mean that I have to stay there. And particularly, I feel like every single company, organization, if they have the desire to improve their organization, then they could benefit from the services that I'm providing. And so by just opening up to a broad, generalized consulting company, it allowed me to diversify and kind of expand out.
Yeah, that's really well said. I love I love just listening to you talk. First of all, you need to narrate like audiobooks or something. Because no offense, like this is a total compliment right now, what I'm about to say, but I could doze off to you talking. It is the highest of compliments, though, I promise you, because my voice carries and it's loud and it tends to make people want to turn the volume down. Bro, with your voice, I want to turn you up, dude. Dude, like this whole time you're talking, I'm focused on what you're saying, but in the back of my head, I'm like, God, this guy has a great voice.
Yeah.
Great radio voice.
Well,
I
thank
hope
you.
the people listening will agree because it's God, I could listen to you talk all day. But I want to talk about the Red Door Food Pantry. That's where we're at right now. So we probably should talk about them a little bit. So you were in banking,
Mhm.
and why was it? I know you said you went to bingo. That's where you learned about Red Door Food Pantry. Was the bingo night, was it sponsored by Red Door, or
No,
was someone just there
it was
from Red Door?
my good friend of mine. We were all talking and they were like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "This is the plan. This is my checklist." And I have one in my mind, and I know I talk about it with Sean all the time because we came here with a checklist of things that we were looking to really accomplish. And so I said, my whole life, like my parent and my family, my dad and them were like, "You're gonna be an attorney. That's what you're supposed to do. Like you can argue your point, like that is the destiny of what I was supposed to do." And it wasn't until my parents got through their divorce and I'm like, "I don't want to do this. This is not what I'm trying to do. I might be too nice. Maybe I don't know. It's just not for me." So then I thought I was going to be a chef and do that and go to culinary school. And I ended up going into restaurant management, but then my divorce shifted me to finance and banking, which is why I went down that path. And then to Red Door, we're here. I'm telling my friend, I'm like, look, I want to change what I'm doing. I don't want to help people with their finances. I don't want to really cook for people necessarily in that industry, but I want to be a voice for somebody that doesn't have a voice. And because my voice, like yours, carries, it's loud. I am the squeaky wheel that will always get the oil. Um, and so for me, I knew I'm going to take something that that I can do naturally, maybe talk to people and go out there and do something about it. But I didn't know how I was going to do that. My expertise is in business administration, and then restaurant management. So I'm like, okay, do I need to change my degree? Do I need to go do something different? How am I going to do this? So then my friend called me. She texted me and she said, "Ashley, I just found out Red Door Food Pantry is hiring an executive director. And I'm like, ooh, that's a big, big title. And then I was second guessing myself, like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. It's big. That's big. And it's not anything that I'm really I know anything about really. And she's like, no, you really should do this. And I think that this would be great for you. And then I talked to Sean, and Sean's like, why are you second guessing yourself? And I'm like, you're right. This was everything that I really kind of wanted in a bow. And so I took the chance and I applied. And I was really nervous about it. And then I had the interview and I told them, like, I don't have pantry experience, nonprofit, and I have never really experienced food insecurity, but I am aware of it. I know, and what I don't know, I will learn. And so they took a leap of faith, and I think what I had, they were looking for. And July of last year, I started July 1st. And my first task was this facility. This was something that was new to them because before it was at the church and those 2 rooms, and that's where all the food was delivered, that's where all the food was packed, that's where everything all the magic was done in those 2 rooms, and it's still done there, but it's the magic is here too. So I came in this room and it was an old kitchen. So there was still the kitchen gear in here, prep sinks, all the warming tables. It was bright yellow in here. There was where that table is in the middle was a sink, hand washing sink. And the doorways were smaller here and in here. And I was like, oh my gosh. And they were like, we need to turn this into a storage facility. I was like, when? How long do I have?
Yeah.
And they're like, as soon as possible or as soon as you can. And I was like, okay. So that was really on trying to do this. All my fears kind of came to it is like, I don't know anybody. I am from California. And then I was like, am I really going to be able to do this? Yes, I am. I'm going to do this. And so I did. And I literally did what I told them I was going to do and learn about the pantry. And because this pantry has, decades of being in this town at one way or the other helping people. So there was a lot of history. And so I want to be thoughtful of that too, and then not come in and try to change what worked for them. And that wasn't my plan. So in the midst of learning how the pantry ran by my leaders in crime, Nancy and Karen, I got to learn how it ran, but also in the background expand this. And so we did. We expand doorways, we painted, we cleaned, we got it ready, we got it approved by the Atlanta Community Food Bank because we're in partnership with them. And we had our ribbon cutting with their chamber. And then from October 15th, so from July 1st to our ribbon cutting here, October 15th, that's what we did. We just got it ready. And it didn't have a lot of food in it, but we knew that there was so much potential. And the moment we opened it, we started helping 200 more households each month. And then from there, it was okay, what else can we do? So it was figuring out what we could do at the Atlanta Community Food Bank level as a partner with them, and how we could utilize their services and platform to really grow the pantry on a grander scale. And then from there we have this facility now, and went from a 2-day a week operation. Now we're running 5 days a week. We use our truck. We have a forklift. We have a mobile pantry and New Harley now. We have a a benefits outreach program that's starting next month. We have a commodity box program for our seniors that started this month. I mean, where we had our biggest months in April and in July with over 900 households helping. And it's pretty phenomenal. Like it really is. And to know that less than 2 years ago, we were in California really thinking about like, this is what we were trying to do. And I'm, prior to the first 9 months, we came here and we're thinking this is not going to happen. We made a really bad decision and we did it like was it the right choice? To now it's like, yes, it was. Like it really was the right choice because it's become just for me, this is one of my favorite places. We have all this art comes from one of our patrons who paints She gives us rocks and I'm her busy bee because I spend enough time in each spot and I talk to everybody and it becomes a family. It truly does. And I've met some great partners in crime at other organizations. And it's really just trying to make, if you can get to one spot, it's going to be for food. So let's get everybody there or get as many resources there as that we can and not judge. It's hard enough to just get the goal to get to a pantry or even ask for help. So we really try to have a lot of compassion and understanding. I don't need your story unless you really want to tell me. You don't have to tell me to get help, but let's get you what you need. And if it's not just food, we have resources. We try to get them out to those community partners to get them help so they know it's just not a number. It is an actual person. I do try to know them by their names and I do know most of their stories. They know who I am. So now it is, you go into town and I see people, they know who you are. It's volunteers. We have up to 40 volunteers each week now. I know every bit of the pantry. I just don't know how to drive the truck. I'm going to learn this year, but I am forklift certified. Practice on it every now and then. I'm getting better. Frederick said I have 3 to 4 more, good, practice runs and then I'll be really good at it. But it's really taking that chance of yourself and really building that confidence of like, yes, I can. And I do. Every day that I wake up, it's because I have an initiative. I have to feed somebody. So it's like I can't be sloppy. Like I can't, miss a day because if I do, it's at somebody else's going to be, at somebody else's expense. So it really is magical because you put in a lot of hours every single week and blood, sweat, and there are a lot of tears too. And because you do get attached, you truly do. And you do want to take care of those people and because it's not your problem but they become your care, like you care about them. And so then you find out what they need and then they will tell you like, do I have sunglasses? Oh, I'll find you some though. Like, it is that like somebody will call you for an air conditioning unit and I called one of my friends and at Operation Outreach America, and he got me and installed it for her, in her because she needed it. And it was so hot. It's those things, and that's what makes our county extraordinary. And I tell people about it all the time. It is magic because everybody does care. And they do take the time. And if I need to call somebody, I know people that will drop what they at that moment to help. And it is truly lovely.
That is lovely. One thing I've learned, and I mentioned earlier that I moved around a lot. But then again, this might not be fair to say because I was a kid all those years, but I've never lived in a place that felt more connected to each other than Bartow County, which is, because you hear like the rest of Georgia talk about Bartow County and Floyd County and all the counties out out here. And they're just like, oh, those are the like when I first told like some of my friends that live in like Woodstock or Kennesaw that we were moving to Cartersville, they're like, hey, yeah, man, like, like Larry the Cable Guy sounding people. And it's just like, oh man, you're moving back to the Stone Age. And it's like, nah, Cartersville's pretty good. I mean, they do have some old fashioned things about them, but I love the old fashioned. I love the small town vibe. Both my parents are from towns where there's 20 people in their graduating high school class. So I've been used to like going home for the holidays and visiting a bar and seeing the same people every single Thanksgiving
Yes.
for my entire life. And it's like, I love that small town feel. I noticed that the business community really love each other. Like, even if you're in the same industry and you could be labeled as competitors, everyone still helps everyone
They do.
out. And it's really, really cool because there's a lot of communities that aren't like that, and it's competition over community, and that's not how I vibe. I just want everyone to win. Like, I want all my friends to win, and I think Bartow really, really embraces that, and they're really good at that.
Yeah.
And they're really cool especially like with like events and stuff, like they're really cool about honoring the past, but also like creating a better future at the same time. So I've really grown to love that as well about this area.
It is great. I love it. And it is we all recognize that we all help the same people. And it's not a competition of who's helping the most. It's like if we can get everybody and help them all the same, we could truly make a difference in somebody's life. And we are. And it is that. People that don't see it in action, it's really hard to believe that it does, like a community can actually do those type of things. And it is every single day. Like people just wake up to do good. And it is, you do find those people. And it's interesting because somebody told me when you are in the right industry, you build it, they will come. It's true. Like we built this facility and people come to help and they truly do. It's like a field of dreams over here. And I have bigger dreams out here for Red Door Food Pantry. The board does too. And we're always trying to think of ways. And I think it's because of the way this community runs, it allows us to be super creative and kind of dream that field of dreams because we can do it. And we'd have.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot. You got to be, I mean, both of you, you guys should be so proud of what you've done just in the last couple of years. I mean, you with building your business and, trying to help people be better to their employees or be better leaders or managers or whatever. And therefore then making that company, that workplace a better place to work, keeping employees, retention is up, things like that. And then with the things that you've done here so far in this facility, I mean, I walked in and was immediately overwhelmed. I mean, you said you went from not really even having anything in here and this place is filled. I mean, you could put more, there's definitely room, but this place is filled up and you should be so proud of yourself for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're getting pats on the back from all the people in your world, but this is really cool to see. And I know that all of this food that I see out here in the warehouse, it's all going to help a family, a kid, someone in need, and that's just really cool.
It is. It
Do you
is.
ever get home and just, I know you said there's tears. Do you ever just get home and just cry, not because of profound sadness, but because of maybe a combination of sadness, of accomplishment, of overwhelm? Like,
Mhm.
do you ever just get home and you just let it go and just let it flow and you're just, you
Oftentimes,
know what
it's
I'm
usually
asking?
in yes, I do, and it's often in my bathroom, like, that's my moment where he's not in there, the dogs haven't followed me, and it is just kinda just sitting there for a moment because it is overwhelming. The amount of people that you do touch and you do help, and you do try there are days that are super wearing, and there are days where, like, "What are we doing? Like, this is not gonna work," and it does, it always does, but you just keep going, and then you go home and you're like, "I did it." That today. Like 235 households last week without skipping a beat. And we on a Tuesday night, like when we first started on a Tuesday night, we were doing up to 75 households. We're up to on our busiest night on a Tuesday, up to 135 households. And it's not just a lot on the person coming, but it also is on the volunteers because they spend their time and their effort and they put a lot of energy into it. And that in itself is very overwhelming because you're not paying somebody to do this. They're coming because they want to. They love what you're doing and they want to make that difference, that dent in their day. And it is. And sometimes it's them taking that moment to forget about what their problems are or come back down on earth. But I'm grounded at least once or twice a week where I'm just like, because you're constantly going. So you don't get to sit down and really think about what you've done for the day. But then there are some really good weeks like Christmas, all of those turkeys are not our favorite things because of how many
Turkeys and hams.
turkeys
Yeah,
and
those
hams.
hams were terrible.
And I will,
75 pounds per case of hams. We had to load them by hand onto the truck, offload them, give them to people, and then load them back up, whatever we
yeah,
didn't have, and put it back in the fridge. It was, I mean, it was miserable, but I think that goes back to this idea of kind of what you've mentioned, just overwhelming feeling of satisfaction. That's how I would describe it because we worked so hard and I volunteer once a week or whatever and Ashley does the vast majority of the work. Most of it I don't even see, but sometimes I get involved and on Thanksgiving we work Thanksgiving and Christmas, right?
Mhm.
It was those holiday seasons. We worked so hard. I mean, we were physically exhausted at the end of the day. We were mentally exhausted because these are people who have food insecurity at the holidays. No Thanksgiving. Like, who wants to think about where their meal is going to come from on Thanksgiving? And, oftentimes I think not just about the adults, but I really
Children.
think about how I would feel if I had to wonder where my child's meal was going to come from on Thanksgiving. It's terrible, but we provided food for individuals, great food, turkeys, hams. They had their Thanksgiving, they had their Christmas meals. And at the end, we were exhausted, but we were so fulfilled, so
Yeah.
fulfilled.
I think I cried in the car coming
It
home
was it
because
was extremely
we
emotional.
did.
Yeah, it was emotional.
Hey guys, let's talk about another partner of the podcast, Branded and Devoted Designs. Are you looking to level up your company's merch game? Your brand deserves better than boring swag. If you contact Branded and Devoted Designs, you can level up with custom hats, shirts, tumblers, mugs, and more that your customers and clients will brag about. Go to www.brandedanddevoteddesigns.com to make your brand stick out. Mention that Logan from Your Morning Drive sent you, and they will give you 10% off of your order. That's brandedanddevoteddesigns.com. Tell them Logan sent you from Your Morning Drive for 10% off your order.
For Thanksgiving, it was like we did 476 turkey meals, and that was like 60
Wow.
pounds of food for each household because they got their normal bag plus their holiday bag of food. And it was like there were so many things, like we plugged the truck into the church and to keep the turkeys at -0 overnight. Like there were just so many things. And I remember like getting a call from our volunteer because we were going to come. We were like long hours, and I remember sitting in the car talking to Sean, like I'm in the car and I'm just sitting here because I don't want to move, and I'm in tears. Like we did it. We got through everything, and then I get a text message from my volunteer, who's our truck driver, and he said, "You don't need to come to work tomorrow because my wife and I are going to come and unload the truck for you. Merry Christmas." And it was Christmas Eve. Like this was the day. And I just remember,
Wow.
I'm still choked up by it because I just remember sitting and reading it like twice and just crying because I was so tired. This was the first time I've ever seen anything like this. So the emotions in general were a lot, but just to see what we were able to do. I mean, we had 836 households in December, November. I mean, the same thing from October on, we were helping over 800 households. And that was a tremendous from 600. That in itself is a feat. But then to be able to do things that we weren't able to ever really do on a whole scale like that, and to really just like, we did. And now the emotions come out. And then we got to sleep for 2 days and not come back, and then like come back the next day and be ready for New Year's. Like it was literally like, okay, we got our 2 days of rest. It was much needed, but it was those days. Yeah.
Wow. That's really moving. I mean, it's great work. I mean, nothing else can be said about it. I want to transition into the last little piece of our conversation, but before I do that, I got to mention a friend of the podcast. You ready to hear about my
Yes,
friend of the
I
podcast?
do.
My friend wants us to say, let's just be honest. Social media is stealing time you should spend running your business. I understand. Hammerhead Creations takes it all off your plate. They build simple strategies, create clean on brand posts and reels, write the captions, and even schedule them out so that your feed stays constant while you stay focused on your company. Need more? They can add websites, Google help, and podcast support like me. When you're ready for that, start with Social Now, scale as you grow, learn about them at hammerheadcreations.com, hand off your social, and get back to business. And then you two can swim with the big sharks. Ashley and Sean, are you ready for my last piece of our conversation?
Yeah,
I
sure.
think I
The last piece of our conversation generally kind of sits around a collection of questions here. There's probably about 8 of them or so, and they are all about who you guys are as people. who you guys are professionally. I just learned about that. The people just learned about that. But now this is the piece of, hey, I see her out and about and I'm going to ask her about this. Or I see him at the grocery store and I'm going to ask him how this is doing. I'm going to ask you a collection of stuff that really has nothing to do with who you are professionally, but just who you are as a person.
Awesome.
What are y'all's, and both of you can submit answers, say answers for these. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, I've got a few.
I think one of my favorite movies is Interstellar.
Ooh.
Not everyone likes it. The people who like it seem to really like it.
Fire.
I love studying astronomy and looking at physics and seeing the complexities of both the visible world and the invisible world, and seeing how they exist. It's just like, a hobby, but I spend time on it. And Interstellar was an amazing movie that honestly at the end it was very moving to me.
Yeah, it's a moving movie. It's a great movie. I am on the train of enjoying that movie.
Okay, good.
And I love anything Christopher Nolan does. So I mean, when I heard, Matthew McConaughey in outer space, sign me up. And Chris Nolan, sign me up.
Yeah, I know Chris Nolan has made some good movies.
Makes great movies, man. Makes great movies. What about you, Ashley? Favorite movie?
The Wizard of Oz.
Woo! Why did I feel like I knew that was coming? You give Oz vibes.
But yeah, she does. She does, right?
She does.
I do.
I don't know what it is. I really don't, but I don't know. Wizard of Oz, great choice. Great choice. Yeah. They're like showing that movie now at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and I saw a video of, I think some celebrity posted like, "Oh my God, I took my daughter to see the Wizard of Oz, and it was the most mind-blowing experience as watching a movie on that giant screen."
And it was like interactive in that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looked pretty cool.
My cousin Sammy, like every day, she will send me something from Spear from the Wizard of Oz saying, "You don't live next to Vegas anymore, so like she's trying to entice me. I think secretly to
she's
come
trying
back.
to bait you to come back.
But I'm like, it's so amazing. In my dreams, I'm thinking about it because just growing up, like that was my favorite movie and still is. And so,
it's a great movie. Great movie. What were your first jobs ever? First time you were paid by somebody to do something, I guess, like first W-2 job, I guess, rather than lemonade stands or dog sitting.
I was a ice cream cake maker at Baskin Robbins.
Nice. Wow. Okay.
I didn't have to dip any ice cream. It was great. So when people would line up, like, "Why aren't you making me ice cream?" Like, I make cakes. Sorry, guys. I cut the ice cream. Like, I make it. Like, I did all your ice cream cake.
Yeah. But it's also that awkward moment of like, there's a line out the door and people are like, "Why isn't she helping?" And you're just like,
what does she do?
Yeah, right. What value do you bring here? And you're just like, I just make cakes. I don't even know how to use the scooper.
Yeah, and it's true. I was not trained to even do the
wow.
Like, it was a big deal. I'm like, I can give you a sample if you like, but it was like, sorry, I can't help you.
Wow. I love that. I love that. What about you, Sean?
I was a veterinary technician. It was my very first job when I was 16, and it stemmed because I had a dog, and this dog, when we took it to the vet, got really scared. And so she was like freaking out, right? So then they said, okay, well, just use exposure therapy, basically. And so bring the dog back on a regular basis. I was 15 at the time. They said, bring the dog back on a regular basis. I did it like to the T. So then, I got to know everyone and the whole thing. And then they said, if you're interested, you've demonstrated that you're responsible. You can have a job when you're 16. You had to, was it 15 or 16?
You could get a job permit.
I got a work permit. So
you were 15. Here.
That's never happened before.
There you go.
Perfect.
There's
I feel like that was rigged.
That has never happened before.
It set me up right there.
I was out to get you from the start.
So they said, if you want a job, come back and you can have a job. And I worked there for five years or so.
Wow. Very good. Very good. Do you know what I mean when I ask you what your walkout song would be?
Yes.
I think I do. Yeah.
What would it be?
Well, I can tell you mine because he's going to wait. Mine is Formation by Beyonce.
Okay. That's a good one. Good song.
Jeez.
And Beyonce gets everyone hyped. So, I mean, you're entering the ring. Beyonce's playing on the speaker.
That
They're hyped.
It's Formation or Diva. And I love Beyonce.
Okay.
Girl.
I'm not sure exactly what song it would be, but I think the artist would be J. Cole.
Okay. That's a totally acceptable answer.
Cool.
Really, anything by Cole is fire.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
he's put out some good work.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got some discography that's respectful. Very good. Very good. So, along the same vein, you guys get to organize a music festival. I'll let you answer this one together. You'll give one answer. You guys get to organize a music festival, and you get to pick your 3 headliners. Who are those 3 headliners, alive or dead? You have 3 headliners.
Okay, I think.
Well, we know
personally Jay-Z and Beyonce, right? So we already got 2 right there. Or could they be as a set?
I was going to say, I'll let you have them.
We bring them both. Alive or dead, yeah. So Tupac's going to be in there. You know, it seems like maybe it wouldn't flow as much, but I'd love to see Prince in there.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's a fire lineup. I'm buying tickets to that. I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah. I mean, I am for sure.
Right. I like it.
Some Tina Turner in there too. Like get some good.
Yeah, get some guest features
Tina
in there.
Turner
You can throw a couple features in there.
You know, as they go to different cities.
Yeah, sure.
Resurrect another person, you know.
Sure.
In there.
Absolutely. Hell yeah, I love all that. On a day where you're not doing everything in your power to help somebody else in any capacity, what do you guys do to recharge? How do you take care of yourself? What's self-care like for the 2 of you?
Well, we just did I did some on Saturday. I like to do face mask, and I like to dance in my living room and sing like nobody's watching. So I'll try to do that sometimes, typically when he's at the gym and nobody's really in the house. So I'll typically do that. Like we like to watch a lot of movies and TV shows, things that we wouldn't typically, we typically get into the house and we're like, okay, gym is on. We already have our spread, so we don't have to leave. And we just like Star Wars, Aliens, like those are the type of things where we don't have to really think much or think about it because we're not focusing too much because we've seen them a million times.
It's mindless entertainment.
That's it. And we just enjoy it. Candy, like we'll sometimes stay up until McDonald's opens up again and go have breakfast at 4 a.m. Like we've done that. We've done some pretty cool things.
We like to do little things like that once in a while.
I love that.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love that.
We're enjoying the empty nest syndrome as well too.
Sure.
Like that kind of, you know.
Yeah. It's kind of freedom to exist as a couple again.
Yeah.
And we came here newlyweds too, which is weird. And I feel like our
technically,
first year,
I mean, we had been together for 10 years.
But
we've been 12 years now, but I feel like we took our first year as a newlywed. I'm like, that didn't count because it was like a wash on like the second year.
Didn't count.
So we've been really just living that newlywed life, I guess.
You know, I have to exercise every day. Not every day, but almost every day, pretty frequently. It's just one of those things that really clears my head and allows me to kind of deal with the different stresses of life just without having my cup overflow, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a perfect way to, like you said, just clear the mind, reset every day, go into every day with a new mindset. It's perfect for that. And rightfully so with vegging out, that we do the same thing. I mean, on a day that we look at our calendar and there's nothing scheduled, no cookout we got to go to, no kid's birthday party we got to go to, no nothing. It's like, ooh, today's a movie day. Let's go to the gas station, snag a bunch of candy.
That's what we do.
We're there with
We live across the street from the AMC in Cartersville on Tennessee Street.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll just shoot over there and grab a bucket of popcorn and then just leave.
Smart.
It's so great. And I am also an avid movie freak. So I every year buy the AMC like refillable bucket. So it's only $6 every single time I fill it up. So sometimes this is trash to admit public, but sometimes when I on a night that my wife's like, your schedules aren't aligning, and she's just like, do dinner with whatever, pick yourself something up, make yourself something at home. Sometimes I'm like, shit, I want some popcorn.
Yeah.
So I'll just go get popcorn. And they're just like, oh yeah, what movie are you seeing? I'm like
the paper.
I'm like,
movie theater popcorn is so good.
It's
I mean,
gasoline.
I have to admit, I'm probably going to steal that idea.
You should, dude.
I mean,
Yeah.
get a
And
big
the
old
fountain,
bucket of popcorn and
you got
just
to
go home and
the
eat it.
Coca-Cola
Yeah,
fountain
absolutely.
too, with like every
Oh,
endless Coke you
God.
can think of. Sorry, Dad, I'm talking about soda that I drink out here, but it is truly that.
God, honestly, there's that meme that's like, if I won the lottery, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there'd be signs. It's because I'd have a soda fountain, like one of those
Seriously.
freestyle Coke
Oh,
machines.
yeah.
The
In my
cube
kitchen.
dice, the cube dice.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I
you
have
know it.
good
I
ice,
have
the
dreams.
good ice.
Oh,
I have
hell yeah.
dreams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We're cut from the same cloth. I knew it. I knew it. Switching gears, couple more here. What's y'all's biggest fear? Hard to go from popcorn to fear.
Not having a purpose. Honestly, I need, at least for me, because we both moved here and had, I think for me, like we had our children were gone, we were empty nesters, and then taking care of our families and helping them, and then not having that is like, it was a lot. It was jolting. Like I was like, oh, I wasn't ready for that. Like I was not ready for that, because as a parent, you're engulfed in their life and you're constantly telling people what to do, and then you're kind of like, I don't have anybody to tell like what to do. Really, they come to you and ask you for advice, but it is that, like, not really living my purpose the way I feel like I want to live my life full. Like there are things that I want to accomplish for myself, but with him too, and be intentional about it. It's like I want to make sure I do that. Like I have things I want to do when I grow up, and that's genuine. Like I want to do that. Like I've lived my life for so many people and done sacrifices for them. Not that my sacrifice like my children, but like for people in my family too in general. And it's like now I get to be thoughtful for me, and I don't want to lose that time. Like that if like, you know what I mean? Like making sure I get everything out of it.
Very well said. Very well said. Do you want to add to that at all, Sean, or are you good?
No, I mean, yeah, I think that is a good fear. One of my fears is really maybe disappointing. Disappointment's a weird thing because you can have a fear of disappointing other people. You can have a fear of disappointing yourself. And so I think that sometimes is combined where it just nags in your head. And, I'm like, am I doing everything I can to be the person I want to be and to be the person other people want to be? And that really it can spin you up a little if you think about it too much.
I can relate, Sean. I suffer from the same fear. I tend to overthink everything, and it's the worst because on days that I actually do like a good job on something, it's like, why can't I just give myself the pat on the back? And it's like, well, I should have done this a long time ago. Or, yeah, I got there, I did that, but it's not that. Like, a lot of the times I get imposter syndrome. I sit across from people, you guys, and people end the podcast and they're just like, man, this was so fun. You host a good conversation. You're great. You're very good talking to people. And I'm just like, oh, I'm not nothing. I like turn into a shell. I'm just like, oh, I'm not shit, actually. I actually just suck. Actually, this is all sham. And I don't know why that is. Working on it. Shouts to my therapist. But it's a crippling thing. It can be.
Yeah.
Thankfully, my wife gives me validation. So shouts to her for that. So I can definitely relate. And then lastly, guys, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you on that path? What is your morning drive? Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about the company that makes your morning drive happen every week. Are you looking to elevate your business and your brand? Hammerhead Creations is here to help. They offer top-tier marketing services, including social media management, website design, and Google page optimization, ensuring your business reaches the right audience. Whether it's a side hustle or your full-time grind, their expert team, me, is ready to help you grow. Plus, if you're into podcasting like me, Hammerhead Creations offers full support for both in-house shows and external podcast creation. From concept to production, we will help you bring your ideas to life. Visit www.hammerheadcreations.com and discover how we can take your business or your podcast or both to the next level. Hammerhead Creations, swim with the big sharks.
I mean, this pantry keeps me pretty motivated. It's also my workout too. I work out every day without the gym, but it is that this is my motivation. It's the people that I meet, the people that I haven't met. Like I've racked myself, like in the beginning, you rack yourself, like I only help this many people. But then you think of it, the magic thing is that I helped that many people. That many people came to us today. And then we had 20 new, like it's that does keep me going, even on the days that we're exhausted and we're tired and we've had long days and they're all one big day. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah, I think for me, the opportunity, like you said, to help people, that sort of that service is important. But ultimately, yeah, I think that drive to really to reach out and make an impact, a positive impact for people. I've just run across so many people that have this like underlying negativity about them. And it's never been something that seems to be helpful for them or for anyone around them. And ultimately, I think that when you have positive interactions with people, you just go home, you feel better. From my side, from your side, you just go home and you feel better. And there's no reason why you should feel or experience negativity on a regular basis. So I think I really just want to spread that positive, beneficial relationships with people.
Yeah, I love that. Very well put. Well, now, guys, I want to let you go ahead and plug what you're doing. Sean, do you want to go first, plug the consulting business? And
You know what? It's still in the early stages,
okay,
and
cool.
it doesn't have a name
Nothing
yet.
to promote yet.
I'm not going to plug anything yet, but I will say that for those individuals who do want to reach out to me and who would like to even get some pro bono work as I build this consultancy company, I'm more than happy to discuss and talk to people as long as your organization and you as an individual are really behind embracing positive change. I'm here for it.
I love that. Very good. What's the best way? Is LinkedIn a good place for people to reach
LinkedIn
out
is
to
the
you?
best place.
Okay.
Yeah. You reach out to me through LinkedIn and I will respond.
Perfect. I'll throw Sean's LinkedIn in the description of the episode so that people can get in touch if they would love to. Ashley,
Yes.
tell me where people can learn about the Red Door Food Pantry, how people can support, how to donate, whether it's cash or food or whatever it takes to keep these doors open to the people. How and where can people find you?
So monetary is the best because for every dollar we spend at the Atlanta Community Food Bank, we can provide 3 meals for one person, which is huge for us. It's why our cup runs over here. We have obviously our Facebook and Instagram, so you can always see what we're doing there. Our website, reddoorfood.com, has everything about Red Door, how to donate, how to volunteer. You can reach out to me too if you want to volunteer at the Red Door or learn more about it. We are getting ready for our biggest fundraiser. It's in February, but between now and February, we will be doing our Mardi Gras Gala. So we'll be having kings and queens doing special events to raise funds and awareness for Red Door Food Pantry. So that'll be one of your few opportunities to really get a part of that and get into those events and see that or get a ticket to Mardi Gras. But if you do need help, we're there Tuesdays from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the pantry, 205 West Cherokee Avenue. And we're also on Wednesday mornings from 9 a.m. to 11. And then the first Friday of every month, we are in New Harley over at Covered Bridge by Drown Valley and the library. And we're going into the new year, going to find new spots, and we're going to expand and try to help as many people as we can.
Love that. Very good. I'll make sure to throw the links that are necessary, the website, in the description of the episode so that people can reach out to the Red Door Food Pantry if they want to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for giving me your Monday night. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the knowledge and the insight and really what all you guys do. I mean, I said it a second ago, but you really should be proud of the stuff you've done. You did something that's not easy, what most people probably dream of doing, but never pull the trigger because they're waiting for the right time. Yep. You guys did the damn thing. You got out here. You started making an impact immediately. And I just am lucky to know you guys at this point. I'm appreciative of your time. And I truly thank you for letting me come and do this here with you tonight.
Cool. Thank you. I mean, for taking the time, yeah. I mean, for really making us feel that way, because, you know, we're taking those moments to really pat ourselves on the back when we have those times, but it's great to be able to tell people what we do and who we are so they know why we're here.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what? And I would just say thank you to Cartersville for welcoming us.
Yeah.
And for kind of having open arms and showing us what, you know, a really nice, close, tight-knit community is about.
Really have taught us what Southern hospitality is all about. And
Definitely.
I truly love it. And I tell everybody about it. We're not telling people to move here, but we are telling people all about it.
Yeah, we kind of jumped on that bandwagon of like, oh, you don't need to come over here. But it is nice.
Oh, Cartersville. Oh, it's horrible here. We really hate it. Don't move here. Don't even look.
Yeah, you don't want to come over here.
You know what? When you type in Cartersville on Zillow, it'll just put a virus on your computer. You don't want it. You don't want it. But I completely agree. Shout out to Cartersville for being that small town, but also not so small at the same time, and embracing new people and new ideas. And Cartersville Living for making this all possible. Thank you to them. Thanks to Hammerhead Creations for making the podcast possible. And we appreciate your time, guys. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
We will talk to you next time. See you later.